Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and it is Friday night, which means it's smile time. And welcome to anybody who happens to be watching right now, or if you're watching on the replay. Just in case you don't know, DearMamaSal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week. We're like an extended family of people, and what we do is we help each other cope with love, life, and other problems. In other words, everything. And so what I wanted to do is just let you know that we do 3 completely different broadcasts every week. Friday lunchtime, we learn something, and today we learned how to make our own washing powder for our washing machines. In fact, HE washing powder. And then we did all sorts of other things which you will find. So hi, first of all, to Bernice, to Jodi, to Isabel, and the rest of you watching. You might wonder, why have I got a Prime bag on here? Here's my tip for the day. I I keep them for when I do stupid things, just like I did today, which was I put something into my microwave, and I turned the microwave on, but I forgot to put any liquid in it. And if you're wondering what happens if you put something in the microwave and turn it on for 3 minutes, the plate breaks. And so that's what I keep my Prime bags for, these padded ones, so that if I have this happen, yeah, oops, indeed. And I'm certain that nobody else does anything stupid like that except me. Yeah, right. Anyway, but the point that I wanted to make is it's now wrapped up in a pretty good bag like this, and I can get rid of it. So there's your tip for the day. Actually, I find, hi, Redster, thank you very much indeed. You know, it's funny, I also found that these Prime bags, if you just turn over the top, they are really useful little containers in a drawer, or, you know, I actually have one next to my sort of work area, you know, and I use it as a mini waste paper basket. So just want to let you know that those things are really useful. Today, of course, being Friday evening, we are going to be doing some of Jodi's gems. And for those of you who don't know, Jodi is our admin on DearMamaSal, and she loves to put together the the Friday night funnies, as she calls them. Hang on, I just want to turn something on here, but that means I got to turn something off. I've got to think. It requires some thought. Okay. I turn this one into this one. I just realized I've got an extra light that I need to. Oh, you like that tip, Jodi? Good. I'm glad you like it, because to me it works really well. And you'll be amazed how useful they are for, you know, just storing things, because they sort of keep their shape a little bit. Ooh, wrong connector for my phone. I didn't want it for my phone, did I? Trying to do it for my extra light. Hold on 1 second. There we go. That should light up pretty soon, as soon as it's got some charge in it. I forgot to turn it off. So, great recycling. Yeah, you know me, I'm all about reusing stuff, and that's why I thought I'd let you know. So, the other thing I wanted to let you know is, if any of you do follow DearMamaSal, first of all, make sure you subscribe here, and also hit the bell. The bell is going to ask you, do you want to get all the notifications? I really recommend you say yes, because that'll tell you anytime I'm going to go live. And sometimes I do an extra broadcast or something, or I have a situation where I need to cancel a broadcast. That would be a really good idea to have clicked that. And also make sure you follow us on Facebook, and preferably on Twitter as well, because those are the main platforms that we use. I use Facebook to update you on the DearMamaSal team. You know, when I say that, it's like anybody that's part of the DearMamaSal family that needs thoughts and prayers or has something exciting to report. You know, they normally let me know. I ask for permission to share it, and then that's where I tell everybody what's going on. So most of you know all of that already, but, you know, some people don't. So that's a good thing to remember. The last thing that I wanted to make sure you knew is all the things like Facebook, everything except Instagram is just under DearMamaSal. When I went to register Instagram, somebody had stolen my name. And so that is the only place where the correct thing you're looking for is the real DearMamaSal, or one word. Jodi, can you type that for me? The real DearMamaSal is all one word, and that's what it is on Instagram. So there we go. I'm pretty certain that you're all aware of the riots that are going on everywhere. And I had a quote at lunchtime that I thought was worth remembering. The quote came from Martin Luther King back in the 60s. And I sort of do this under the general title, as we do, be prepared, not scared. And this is what Martin Luther King said. He said, hang on, a riot is the language of the unheard. A riot is the language of the unheard. So the time when people do riot is when they genuinely don't feel that they are being heard, that the will of the people is not happening. So I was saying at lunchtime that I was fortunate enough, or unfortunate enough, I'm not quite sure which it is, to have survived a lot of riots. I'm talking about the Kent riots, Kent University riots way back when they did that about the Vietnam War, Rodney King, and so I've lived through quite a few of these. And what I do have to tell you, without a doubt, is that almost without doubt, we got a good outcome at the end of it. The policies change. However, you're probably saying to me, and this is what I was saying at lunchtime, you're probably saying, what about Hong Kong? They rioted and China's taken over anyway. The difference is China is not a democracy. Okay? So just understand the difference in that. So having said that, I want to just start with that, even though it's not a smile. I wanted to start with it because it's going on. Be prepared, not scared. It looks horrible when you watch it, and just pray for both sides. Pray for the man that got killed, George Floyd. Yeah. Pray for the officer that accidentally killed him. I do believe that he didn't actually mean to kill him. I think he went into a zone and forgot to take his knee off, quite honestly. Also pray for all the rioters and the police trying to protect buildings and property from the rioters. It's pretty nasty. I was just watching it, and they're throwing rocks at each other. The rioters are throwing rocks, and it's not really fun. So let's move on. Jodi, great job today. Right, here we go. First one of Jodi's gems is, a cookie a day keeps sadness away. But an entire jar a day brings it back. Oh, I totally relate to that one. I am one of those people, I cannot eat part of a bag of cookies unless I have meal prep them. Sometimes I will take a bag of nice stuff and I will actually put it into little serving bags and go, I'm allowed one of those a day. Most times that works for me, but if I have to look at a whole packet, I don't stop very easily. I thought this one was priceless, Jodi, just so you know. Today I bought a donut without sprinkles. This diet thing is hard, isn't it? Yeah, Jonas, the importance of discipline, not constantly chasing the sugar. I want to tell you that I am learning how hard that really is. And I must admit, the last week or so, I haven't been bad, but I haven't been as good as usual. So I'm really on a mission to correct that a little bit. Diet day number 1. All the unhealthy food has been removed from the house. And it was delicious. It would take me a lot more than one day to remove the unhealthy food from my house. How about you? Excuse me. Split moment. It's trying to talk and drink at the same time. No, it doesn't work. Right, here we go. This is another goal setting one. Yesterday, I really wanted tacos, and now I'm eating tacos. Follow your dreams. What's your favorite food, everybody? What has been your biggest rationing you've had to do because of being in lockdown? Mind you, I think most of you are out of lockdown now, but I am really trying to pluck up the courage to go and do something this coming week. And then the other part of me says, you know, with my luck, I will go out just for that one day. I haven't been out since probably about March 10th. With my luck, I'll go out and I'll get the damn thing. Well, actually, Jodi, that's very kind of you to say. Jodi's saying you eat so healthy. Even the treats you bake always have healthy aspect, like less all-purpose flour, etc. I was pretty proud of myself last night. I got a craving to have crepes. Craving to have crepes. That's a lot of C's. And I went, okay, fine. I made them with almond milk instead of regular milk, you know. So I am trying. Yes, Sakura says right now Filipino and Korean snacks, but I'm craving Korean barbecue. Yeah, you see, I totally understand. Yeah, and Jodi's going, she really loves fresh baked bread and she's fallen victim to Pop Tarts. Well, um, you know what's in here. Hi, Becca. Good to see you. Um, I make these mini loaves of bread now. Right, so this whole loaf is as big as my hand. That's it. But you know, I'm going to allow myself to have a couple of pieces tonight. So I know about the homemade bread problem. And so um, here's the next one. 9 out of 10 people love chocolate. And the 10th person, you know, is lying. And Becca is saying, just a reminder to tell all your loved ones that you love them. It could just be the last time or thing that saves them. Yeah, we understand the sentiment of that, Becca, absolutely. And I once heard, Becca, that if one person believes in you, it's enough, right? So believe in somebody, even if they don't believe in themselves, right? Bernice is saying, I've been out with the hubby for groceries and some supplies and take out food, but mostly we stay at home. I have a stash of Twinkies. Oh, oh, why? I got to stop right there. Anyway, I allow myself a stash of Twinkies and sweets, but only allow myself what's in the jar on my bedside table. Yes, I have a little jar where I keep special candies as well. How many of you relate to this? If we're going to pay this much for crab, it better sing, dance, and introduce us to the Little Mermaid. So here's the next one. For those of you who have dogs, you will appreciate this. I feel sorry for people who don't have dogs because I hear that they have to pick up food they drop on the floor. Now, it's interesting because Bean, when he was alive, was never allowed in the kitchen. Because I hate a dog begging for food. He was allowed to sit at the line between the kitchen and the next room. There was one place he was allowed to sit. So he could watch me because that's what he liked to do. And, you know, if something did drop on the floor, it was interesting to see him sit there, and you could almost watch his eyes coming out of their sockets like, did she see it? Did she see it? Did she see it? You know, and then I would lean down and pick it up because Bean also knew that it wasn't his unless I put it in his bowl. You know, because if you drop a grape, you don't want a dog going for it. You know, if you drop, what is that, tomato, I think, there are a couple of things that you don't want dogs eating. So he was taught, if I put it in your bowl, it's yours. If I don't put it in your bowl, you don't touch it. And by the way, how did I teach him that? Every single day, I taught him that. You know, before he had dinner, he had trick time. And I would literally throw something on the floor and go, no. As he started to move, I'd go, no. And I'd have a squirt bottle with me. And, yeah, no. That's mine, not yours. And then, you know, I would drop a couple of things and then I'd pick a couple of them up and I put them in his bowl. And then I would say, okay, those are yours. And the word okay meant you can go to your bowl. He was very good. And he was quite impressive. People used to really ask me, how did you teach him that? If you don't cut the cake into pieces and you just eat the whole darn thing, then did you only have one piece? Good thinking, right? How about this one? Cal said, "You're really pushing my buttons today." And then Becky replied, "Which one is mute?" How many people do you know that you'd love to be able to go and hit the mute button? Yeah. Excuse me. So this really is relevant to me, and I just want to know if any of you relate. The lies that I tell myself. Just one more cookie. Just one more movie. Or just one more minute. And in my case, just one more episode. You know, I've really become a victim of binge watching, but that's what I'm retired for, right? Oh, Becca says, I'm skilled in the art of self-sabotage. At least I can acknowledge it. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it's really funny, Becca, because as I'm sitting there watching one more episode, I go, and this is why you worked a lifetime for the right to be able to do this. And I'm going, but it's 2:30 in the morning, you know. And so, you know, for me, it's like I have to be really, really aware of when I start watching them. Believe you me, I think I got to bed at about 3 last night, but it was good, really. You know you're getting old when the candles on your birthday cake start to cost more than the cake. That would be my problem right now. And do we have any birthdays? We know that Anna Marie's is coming up on the 9th. And we know that Jodi has a big celebration coming up on the 9th as well. She gets to celebrate 5 years of being cancer-free. Isn't that wonderful? And so June 9 is a big day in our family. So our extended family. So what I wanted to know is if any of you have got birthdays that we should acknowledge coming up in the near future, let us know. I can put them on our list, or Jodi can, depending on who gets there first. Now, this one I really, really relate to. And maybe some of you do as well. Let me know if you do. Because the worst part of online shopping is having to get up and go get your credit card out of your purse. It's like, now, some of you I know think about that first and get it, and the rest of us only think about it later. What I do like, though, is that Google has all that information stored in the magic vault. So I don't have to think too much these days. Of course, if the hackers get in, I'm screwed, but then they get to me anyway. Also, Bernice is saying, or in my case, my husband's card. Yeah. I want you to think about this one. Think about it. When people ask me, what is more important, food or love? I don't answer because I'm eating. Nice one, Jodi. Or in my case, if you want love, give me food. All right, now this one, this one was awesome. And some of you can really relate to this. It says, I'm just going to flip this omelet. Okay, so we're having scrambled eggs. Actually, that's one of those things I really want to do one day, is show you my crepe maker and how much fun I have with it. Crepes to me are a comfort food, and I think it was 2:00 last night I started to eat them. I allow myself 3 crepes, and I made them with almond milk, not real milk. For those of you who ever remember Peter Sellers, and some of you are old enough to remember him, in the movie Dr. Strangelove, there was this incredible line that said, "Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room." Yeah. Oh, interesting. Jodi's saying, I love crepes with spiced apple filling. Wow. Funny enough, like mine with, I used to love it with sugar and lemon juice. I now have it with a stevia mix and lemon juice, and I still love them. There's something about the sweet and sour that I just really, I guess I grew up eating them like that. And, yeah, and lemon is a fruit, right? So that can't be altogether bad. I put almond milk in instead of, yeah. Anyway, never mind. I keep trying. And some of you know half of this quote really well. And that is, if you give a man a fish, he will eat for a day. Teach him to catch fish, and he will spend all day at the lake drinking beer. No. Yeah, Jodi's confirming it. Lemon is a fruit and almonds are healthy too. Yep, health food. Yep. And I don't have 5 anymore. I just have 3. Two, actually, the first 2 are like half pancakes, and the third one is a full-size one because it's the last one. All right, so you can trust your dog to guard your house, but never, ever trust your dog to guard your sandwich. Unless he's called Bean. Bean could guard a sandwich for me. I could leave a sandwich at his nose level, and I'd come back and I could actually leave a plate of food at his nose level on my coffee table, and I could come back and the food would still be there. You understand, he knew consequences. And because he understood consequences, he was a very smart dog. And how do you teach a dog about consequences? You have them. Ones that he doesn't like. Yep. It's the only time I ever raised my voice at him was to stop him doing stuff. And it's one of the most important things that you can teach a dog, because if ever he is running towards you, but there's a car coming, you need to be able to have a voice that says, hit the ground now and don't move. And a lot of people don't teach their dogs that thing. The only way that, most people will call their dog's name and the dog will just come running and probably get hit by a car. I trained my dog that if I used a certain voice tone, he hit the deck. Boom. And waited. This one's cute. This is one of Jodi's gems. Dear Diamond, we all know who is really a girl's best friend. And it was signed, sincerely yours, Chocolate Cake. Anybody have chocolate cake this week? Jodi is actually very, very correct. When I want chocolate cake, I make myself an oat bran. It's so funny. I have a low-fat oatmeal muffin mix. And what I do is I add fruit like raisins, or I'll throw in some nuts, or I got some baby marshmallows that went stale. And I throw in a couple of those every now and then. And if I'm really decadent, I will shave some chocolate over the top. But Jodi, you're right. I hadn't thought about that. I do try and do that. However, I do put icing on the top of them. What is the mixture I made with caramel corn? My little baggies of treats? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I'll take a handful of caramel corn because I love that stuff. And then I'll take a handful of trail mix and throw that in. And then I will also put a handful of something like mini wheats or, cornflakes or something. Just to sort of, or if I don't put that in, I put in a handful of chow mein dry noodles. And I'm allowed a little set baggie of it this size. Most days. I want to be like a caterpillar. Eat a lot, sleep for a while, and then wake up beautiful. That's so cute, Jodi. You knew I'd like that one. Yeah, I actually have started, rightly or wrongly, I've started eating a bowl of cereal when I get a sweetness kick. I must admit that now I'm taking, because I think most of the sweetness in them is not pure sugar. So I'm reckoning, and I'm taking, I'm doing like whole wheat, mini wheats. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I can get some sweet and have some goodness in it too. If I'm going to eat it, let it be whole wheat. This quote says, "I'm like a Pac-Man. When I'm at a party, I eat everything and run away from anybody coming close to me." I actually run away to find more food, but never mind. I thought this was really clever because I actually believe in this. This was a quote from Will Ferrell. And it said, "Before you marry anybody, you should first make them use a computer with slow internet to see who they really are." I always said that people are the way they drive their car. To me, if you drive in a car with somebody, you will know a lot about their ability to compromise. You will learn a lot about their mental state. You will learn a lot about whether they are, somebody that can't be bothered to be on time and then blames everybody else. It's amazing. Yes, their patience. It's amazing what you learn just by driving. I can remember once going to visit a boyfriend that I had in Maine. And it was Maine in winter. And, I live in British Columbia. This much snow is winter to us in a big way. And we panic. And so, here we were in one of these terrible ice storm things that locked everybody down for a week, I think. But anyway, the funny thing was we were driving and the guy did something a little bit wrong, and I wasn't sure what it was. We were on a highway, and we let rip, and we started to go 360 and all over the road, and we ended up safe. That's the good thing to know. Facing oncoming traffic, but to the side. And the most incredible thing was, in that moment of all that happening, I didn't scream and I didn't do anything. I just waited. And then when the car stopped facing the oncoming traffic, he said so quietly, "I don't think I could do that again if I tried." And I burst out laughing. It was just like, that told me a lot about his stress management. And then, of course, he apologized most humbly and said, "I probably scared the living daylights out of you." And I said, "Well, actually, you did up until the moment that you said what you said, because then, I totally believe that you didn't intend to do it. And, black ice is black ice and anybody can hit it." So I hit it once. Have any of you ever hit black ice? I did it once. And the silly thing was, I was literally crawling to a stop at an intersection. And I was literally, crawling to a stop. I wasn't slamming on the brakes or whatever. And just at the intersection, there was black ice. And the next thing I know, my Jeep carried on through the intersection. Luckily, nothing was going either way. And it took me right through and towards another guy's car. And I'm going, oh, this is not nice. Because there's nothing you can do to avoid it. It's just heading towards the car. And so I just, with my eyes coming out of my head, I just sort of sat there going, and luckily it was almost like it should have had music to it, because it was so, it had such flow, right? And it needed an opera or a piece of symphony music to it, as I quietly slid my way into the back of the car that was on the side of the road. And I got out and I said, "I am so sorry." And he said, "Oh, there's nothing you could do." Absolutely. He said, "I saw it." I saw how slow you were going. And I saw that there is just nothing you could have done. You couldn't have been going any slower and still been going forward. And he said, and the black ice just took you. And so he looked at the car, and the Jeep's got dirty, great fenders, bumpers on it, right? And so he looked at his car, and there was some bumps in his, and he said, "Oh, well, that's pretty good." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Well, you see those two bumps here?" And I went, "Yeah." And he said, "I got those yesterday." And he said, "And I haven't been to ICBC yet to have them check it out. So we'll just call these extra two that you put on as residuals from yesterday. So you go and have a good day." And I went, "That is very kind of you, thank you." But I gave him my name and number just in case something more serious was there. So Jodi's saying it was terrifying. And so did Becca. So Jodi's saying, "I had to get home from work during a storm. I needed to navigate down a steep slope. The state troopers were at the top of the slope, allowing cars just one by one so they could slide and not hit." Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, really, if I always say to people, I've been in a couple of accidents where nothing to do with me, but people came and hit me. And, I've had it happen twice. And both times I got out of the car. And before anybody spoke anything, I just said, "Stop. I have one question before we start talking." And they sort of go, "What?" And I go, "Did you mean to hit me? I mean, did you get up this morning and go, today is the day I'm going to hit Sal? Now, where is she? And just so I can coordinate it, so I can catch her, while she's..." And the people look at me and shake their heads and went, "No." And I said, "So we agree this was an accident?" "I believe you. I don't believe you meant to hit me. So let's go from there." I'm not about to lose my cool. This was an accident. That's why I call it that. And literally, I had one cop, some of you have heard this story, but I had one cop look at me. I didn't realize it, but he watched what happened. A guy came out and T-boned me. I was coming this way, driving this way, and this guy came and just came straight into me. And when I finished, I was worried because he was an old guy, and I went back to go and check and make sure everything was okay. And I helped him, get all the information about the insurance and everything. And I got all that sorted. And when I went back to my car, there's this cop leaning against a wall, and he goes, and I'm going, "Oh, I'm in big trouble. What did I forget?" So he's going like this, and I went, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Got a question?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Are you from this planet?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Are you from this planet?" And I said, "Yeah." "Why?" And he said, "That guy is totally at fault. He came out of a side street and hit you. You have just spent 15, I happened to see the accident, which is why I stopped to be a witness for you. But he said, you spent 15 minutes helping that guy do all his insurance stuff. I believe you helped him phone home so that his family would know he'd been in an accident. Is that right?" And I said, And he said, "And you have not yet, even now that I'm talking to you, you have not yet checked your car to see what the damage was." And I said, "No, not yet, no." He said, "As I said, are you from this planet?" I said, "I don't think he meant to hit me." So you understand it's all about a mentality, right? Okay, so Jodi's continuing her stories. Remember, the cars were being allowed down one at a time so they didn't slide and not, they could slide and not hit one another. He said, "The next day during my shift, they closed the road. My employee put all of us into a hotel across the street from our workplace for one night. We weren't allowed home." That's a great employer. We've got a street in Vancouver that's like this. And, if we get 2 inches of snow or more, the TV crews know to go to that hill. And, you know, they will do this wonderful thing like a ballet on ice. They put music to it as they watch the cars, you know, slide their way down the hill. It's always fascinating to watch. I love to watch it. And not, you know, because I've been in a car that was doing that. The next quote from Jodi was, I'm on a 20-day diet. And so far, I've lost 10 days. Yep. Spilling hot coffee on your lap wakes you up faster than drinking it. But I find I still don't react as fast as if I have had it, Jodi. Quite honestly. I find if I haven't had the coffee yet, I'm going, what just happened? Oh, ow, you know. I sort of have to process to the hurt. Here we go. Are you ready for the next one? Sit down and let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, I was hungry, and that is what happened to your chocolate. Yeah, that's your hobby, right? You know, when Big Brother Jeff came to visit, he has this routine that after dinner, he sits outside with a cigar and, you know, smokes his cigar and has Cadbury's chocolate and goat cheese and baguette. You know, it's sort of like his evening routine. But, you know, I'm pre-diabetic and I cannot look at chocolate. And so what he would do is he would hand me a couple of pieces, which, you know, I would inhale. And then he'd just keep breaking them off and handing them to me. It was very difficult. And I know it was my responsibility to say no, but I didn't. All right, now I need you to do a little bit of math here, okay? If I had 10 cookies and you took half, do you know what you would have? That's right, a black eye and a broken hand. Oh, Jodi does know the ones that are going to amuse me, right? And this is a great one about keeping your stress level under control. I walk around like everything's fine, but deep down, inside my shoe, my sock's gliding off. Now, some of you will relate to this one. Now that I'm quarantined, I finally realize that my only true hobbies were shopping and eating out. Nice one. Now, for those of you who like logic, Becca would be one, and you know, a couple of you as well. But how about this one? If Cinderella's shoe fit perfectly, then why did it fall off? I like the logic. Yeah, I knew you'd like that one, Becca. By the way, there's a game that I found for somebody who likes words, which I know Becca does, and somebody who likes logic stuff as well. There's a book, there's a game called Chris. Hi, Beth. Good to see you. Kryss, I think. Hang on, let me find it so I get the spelling correctly. It's an app. Kryss. Yes, I did get it right. And it takes a little bit of playing it to find out how it works. It took me about 2 games to really get how it worked. But once I got how it worked, I love that game because it's, part of it's visual, part of it's like a crossword puzzle, part of it is, anyway, it's got a lot of aspects to it. So if you're somebody who likes words, likes puzzles, likes stuff like that, it's a fun game. And I try to do at least one a day because I think doing all that is good for your mind. Normally do it just before I go to bed. Sleep, around about 3:30 in the morning. I have lots of hidden talents. The problem is, even I can't find them. The story of my life. I'm still trying to find my battery charger. It was one of the I think I brought it to the house on the first day that I came here 4 months ago. I still haven't found it. I put it somewhere carefully. And I think what happened was I put it somewhere carefully when the house was totally empty and didn't realize that the movers were going to put boxes against everything. And now it's somewhere behind all those boxes. Oh, I want to tell you, Jodi, as I said, tell him to do, to at least work through 2. Hi, Lily. To work through at least 2 to get the idea, because it took me a while to work out what it was all about. But once you've got what it's about, and if he wants to know how to continue to play it for free, just let me know, because it's quite simple once you know how. And tell him not to buy anything. It'll try to sell you this and upsell you that and whatever. I've learned how to play it quite simply for free. This one, I'm going to read it as it's written, but it's bad English, and so you know that I can feel my mother complaining. I can't sleep good when I know the food is feeling cold in the fridge. It's very clever, that one. I'm sorry, Mom. Yep. Dave Berry, who I adore, he's got some great quotes here. My therapist told me that the way to achieve true inner peace is to finish what I start. So far, I've finished 2 bags of M&Ms and a chocolate cake, and I feel so much better already. It sounds like me at 2:00 in the morning. You guys will have great difficulty believing this one. I literally can eat so well until midnight. And something happens. It's like, Cinderella time for me. But, at midnight, I get these, I've got to eat bread, or I've got to eat this, or I've got to eat that. And I totally shoot myself in the foot every day between midnight and 3. I've got to learn to go to bed at midnight. Oh, for Jodi, it's 7 p.m. Well, you see, that's, it's like we all got this danger time. Now, this sounds like me talking my way out of something. Yes, officer, I saw the speed limit. What I didn't see was your car. And of course, my favorite getting caught in a speeding trap was when I had a Beamer. And I was actually going down a hill it was in South Africa. I was going down a hill and there was a speed trap at the bottom of it. And the guy came forward and he goes, "Ma'am, we clocked you in at, whatever it was. I said, really? And he said, yes. He said, do you want to dispute it? I said, I'd love to see it. Have you got it on the gun thing? And he goes, yeah. And I said, I'd love to see it. And when I literally got out of the car and I went over and I had a look at the gun, and I said, I was only just moving from third gear into top gear. And he can do that speed in third. I didn't know that. I thought the guy was going to die laughing. He just totally cracked up. And he was crying with laughter. And he said, do you live your life like this? And I said, like what? He said, seeing the bright side of things. And I said, well, I try to, yes. And he said, I am so tempted not to give you a ticket, but I have to. I said, of course you do. That's your job. But I said, I am so happy I was to know that my car will do that speed in just third gear. With going downhill apparently helped. So, my conversations with cops are normally quite interesting. And also because I lived in a police state, if a cop stops me, I am white-knuckled immediately and my eyes come out in stalks and I'm shaking like this. And they're not used to people doing that, being terrified of police. But, where I lived, if you got caught by the police, they could put you in jail and throw the key away and nobody'd ever know that you were there. And so I was pretty... I've been in some interesting situations where one cop actually apologized to me because obviously I was so traumatized. And he actually said, ma'am, I actually don't think it was you. And I said, well, it could have been. Me, my integrity got the better of me. It could have been. I said, I was busy trying to find a road. And he goes, ma'am, I don't think it was you. Can we leave it at that? I went, oh, okay. And then the funniest thing is I went to an event. I was speaking at an event the next evening, and I told the story. And guess what? A woman in the audience said that was my brother. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, that was my brother. He came home and told us the story. I said, did everybody laugh? She said, yep. I said, oh, good. A bald spot is like, the bigger it gets, the harder it is to cover up. Yeah, and Bernice is saying, what a small world. Yeah, I thought that as well. And she said to me, you were driving a red car, right? I said, yeah. A turbocharged red car? Yep, that was mine. And he said, oh yeah, he told it beautifully. Becca, I think, touch wood, I believe that I've only ever got that one ticket in my life, that one where I was going downhill in the Beamer, yellow Beamer it was too. Yeah, I think that's the only ticket I ever got. It's not that I wasn't speeding more times, it just was the only time that I got caught. How many of you can relate to this one? Sometimes I'm just grateful that thoughts do not appear as bubbles over our heads. Hi, Devin. Good to see you. How many of you agree with that? I've always said to people, you can think whatever you like, but try not to open your mouth. And in my case, close your lips before those words come tumbling out. Do any of you relate to that? Where you're going, I need to close my mouth right now before those words come out. Oh, Becca, she got a warning for speeding because she thinks she was like 6 over. Yeah, right. That's not even trying, Becca. I can remember when I first got the Jeep, it's got a dirty great V8 in it, with bells. and the towing package and all the other things, right? I remember one night I needed to go. I was camping and I needed to go home because I had young Cody with me and he'd forgotten something that was important. So I drove him all the way home to get whatever it was that he needed. And then on the way back, I said to him, let's find out what the Jeep really can do. We were on a highway. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. You'd be amazed that tank actually could put quite a few, it did quite well. And of course, he was loving every moment of it. He tells the story well. When the past comes knocking, don't answer. It has nothing new to tell you. Yeah, some of you need to remember that one. Actually, I remember some young people asking me if I would take, what that line, what do you call it? There's a line clearing where they put the electrical wires, they clear cut it either side. And it was really funny because I had some young people ask me if I would take the Jeep with and let them go down that line. And they really wanted me to, put foot and go full speed. And it was after some really heavy rains and there were lots of puddles and everything else. And they were very disappointed because I was, backing off every time I came to a major puddle so that I could go through it slowly. And they said, Sal, you need to put foot and go through them full speed. And I said, do you have $45,000? And they go, what? And I said, do you have $45,000? Because, if you do, then sure, as long as you commit to getting me a new Jeep at the end of it, because I'm not breaking all my suspension just to keep you guys happy. So shall we go home now or shall we continue? And I said, by the way, one of the things I learned about puddles when I was a rally driver is you never know how deep they are. You never know how deep they are. So always go in slowly or get to the edge of it so only one wheel hits it. And it was just like they're going, really? And I said, really? That isn't called being a wuss. That's called being smart. Remember it for the rest of your life, guys. And I thought this was cute. It says, you can stop driving me crazy now. I can walk from here. All right, let me see what people have been saying. Becca was saying about that 6 kilometers over, miles over. She was saying, I really legitimately was shaking. I couldn't speak. And he could tell I was like crying. Yeah, I know. Fear is a terrible thing. All right. And Bernice is saying, it reminds me of when we still had our white Honda Accord and I was asleep, but my seat was upright. But I slid down when I'm asleep. Hubby pulled over because it was 2 a.m. Oh, because he was in the 2 or more people lane. And when the officer looked and saw me asleep, he said, you can go. They started laughing and I was still passed out. That is a cute story. Right, so they pulled your hubby over because there's only one person supposedly, and that is beautiful. That's a nice story. Thank you for sharing it. That is cute. Now, some of you will really relate to this one. I don't need a hairstylist. My pillow gives me a new hairstyle every morning. Yeah. And you will know you've got true confidence when you can actually live with that hairstyle for most of the day. Do any of you relate to that one? Occasionally I will go, yeah, let me just see here. Okay, that'll do. And what I did is when I moved here, I decided I wasn't going to, go through. Oh, I should never have done that. Look what happened to my hair. Okay. So Did you see what I did then? Very important way to part your hair. Did you know that? Yeah, Jodi says, I can relate. I look in the mirror and legitimately scare myself. Have any of you learned that trick? When you part your hair, do it with your fingers interlocking and then pull it apart. It doesn't give you a straight line, but it also, it gives you an interesting, and never mind, it actually works. I hate Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and half of Fridays. Actually, I don't, but you probably do, or used to before you were in lockdown. You see, I don't hate any of those days because I'm retired now. Now it's just a case of, what do you mean it's a public holiday? A stat holiday, whatever you call it, wherever you are. Okay, is it really? It's just Monday. Now I need you to listen. Okay, so Jodi, hang on a second. Not everybody has a brush available to them, but normally if you have a hair parting, it goes like this, right? Agreed? Would you agree? There's a straight line. It goes like that. Okay, so here's how I part mine. Take my fingers and I interlock them like this, and then I dig my nails into my scalp, and I go. It's difficult to do now, of course, but I actually do mine so it isn't straight. And what I find is that it gives it more body. You see that? I sometimes do it this way. Hang on, let me see if I can do this. It's actually quite fun. I'm now going to try doing it like this way. And that gives it completely different body as well. I'm so smart. Are you ready for this one? You have to concentrate on this one. Well, you don't have to. Are you ready for this? Listen carefully. Becca, this one's specially for you. 4 out of 3 people struggle with math. Jodi? And it's a gem. Loved it. Yeah, but it's the 4 out of 3. Bob Hope said, I grew up with 6 brothers. That's how I learned to dance, waiting for the bathroom. Friends buy you food. Best friends eat your food. Of course, one of the things that I some of you heard me talk about this, but when I went to Dougie's for Christmas, it was really interesting because Jess, his girlfriend of many years, Jess is vegan. And so her mother is one step past that. I don't know what that is. I can't remember. And I am, garlic intolerant and pre-diabetic. And so it was amazing. He had a most wonderful Christmas dinner for everybody. There was one salad that everybody except Sal could eat. There was another salad that everybody except, Jess could eat. There was another, it was just amazing. And I, complimented him on it afterwards. And he said, well, who taught me that? And I said, yeah, who did? He said, you did. I said, did I? And he said, yeah. Jess was coming for dinner and you knew that she didn't eat meat. And you spent 2 days coming up with a meal for us, meat eaters, and then another complete meal for Jess. And I said, well, yeah. And he said, that's where I learned how important that was. And I said, well, I want to tell you, it really showed. And I, for one, it was wonderful. The other thing was, I went to Marnie's 40th birthday party, and Marnie comes from a Ukraine, no, not Ukraine, Estonian background. She comes from Estonia. And the whole meal, there was a huge, it must have been an area bigger, as big as and this goes way over there, as big as this, laden with food. I could eat anything. There was no garlic in any of the food. And I went, I'm coming back to eat here again. It was just like, wow. I literally could eat everything on the table. I didn't have to just double up on the desserts. And, now that I'm pre-diabetic, that's not a good option for me either. This I remember from a few years ago. Sometimes you meet such a prince that you'd rather marry the horse. Yeah, I met a few. Stop worrying about the world ending today. It's already tomorrow in Australia. For the procrastinators out there. We were talking about that at lunchtime today, but for the procrastinators out there, I was going to take over the world today, but I overslept. So it's postponed again. I used to be ruler of the universe. Do any of you relate to that? I used to try and fix everybody and I really thought I knew what everybody needed to do in their lives. I've given up that job. You realize that you have matured when you realize you don't know what everybody needs to do with their life. You don't even know what to do with yours, never mind somebody else's. And I really have stopped telling people what to do to the large extent. I now give them options and let them choose for themselves. Yeah, Jodi's given up that job as well. So anybody who wants it, it's there, it's available. Now this one is really cute. I like this. It said, listen, before I had my coffee, I didn't realize how awesome I was going to be today either. Story of my life. Until I put something in the microwave on a plate and forget to put the food that was meant to go on the plate, and then just turn the microwave on for 3 minutes and explode the plate. It takes talent to do things like that, And by the way, I heard this pop inside the microwave and I'm panic-stricken in case, the microwave is now flying microwaves out that it shouldn't be. And I decided to open the door just a little bit, and about 3 pieces of broken plate came shooting out, and I quickly closed the door again. Do any of you know that feeling? Maybe if I keep the door closed, it'll go away. And then about half an hour later, I went, well, I guess it'd be pretty cool now. Went in there with a dustpan and brush and got rid of it. I destroyed the evidence that's in the package. But I could rattle it for you if you like. Yeah, Bernice is saying she's also giving up ruler of the universe. She keeps procrastinating about it. Less is more, unless it's kindness, sleep, or toilet paper. And by the way, how is the toilet paper supply where you live? It was quite funny when I had my groceries delivered last week. The one thing that the guy that delivers to me said, "You'll be pleased to know that there's toilet paper again." And I went, "It's never been a problem. I've got enough backup in my house to last me for a month, I think." Yeah, the flying Corel plates as well. So it was glass. Yeah, it really had me going for a while as well. Okay, so Becca's saying she's noticing that she's in a high volume people business, and she said people are finally starting not to freak out at my work because of no toilet paper, but they're still asked about the disinfectant wipes and such. Oh, don't you make your own? Is what I would ask. Yeah, and anybody that wants to save on toilet paper, tell the women. The women are the biggest consumers of toilet paper, not the men. um, the truth is, what I did is I cut up a whole lot of material into bigger sizes than you would be tempted to throw down the toilet. And the only time I use toilet paper is if I, do a bad one. I don't use toilet paper anymore to just pee. So this is like, I remember stories from the warriors, I know how to do this. And now, how long does a toilet roll last you? Do you know? Just as a matter of interest. Because I found it amazing that the difference consumption rate when I stopped using it just to pee. All right, so Becca's saying that it's so funny because I was over for a visit at my late friend's mom's yesterday for lunch. Oh, you're already visiting people. That's amazing. Anyway, and even she was like, pulled out her Clorox container and she goes, "Do you ever have these at work ever?" Yeah. Well, it's really interesting to do that experiment, but you need to be somebody, and you know what I found out? You need to be somebody who's not going to get grossed out if they accidentally drop it into the toilet bowl, because it could happen. So, and if you are, then get yourself a new pair of tongs so that you can fish it out. You don't have to touch it, or plastic gloves, or do whatever, you know. Interesting. Bernice is saying if it's just me, a whole roll would be 1.5 weeks now. But for hubby, it's 3 days. Amazing, right? So, it is, it's amazing what you can save if you're conscious of what you're using. Okay, now this one is a very important piece of history. Hang on, Becca saying, I was over there for grief-related reasons, so it was so funny that she is like stereotypical. You can't take the girl out of Texas, but you can take the Texas out of the girl. Yep. That's so true. All right, so here's a bit of history for you. Dinosaurs never had coffee. And we all see how that turned out. Which is why I have got coffee stocked to the brim. Yeah. What did I work out, Jodi? I have enough coffee probably for 10 years if I'm careful. Right. So you see, Bernice has got a bidet, and that is, that's. I want to tell you, I think anybody who's grown up in the countries where they have bidets, you've got this thing beat a big time. You don't need toilet paper when you've got a bidet. So yeah, the other thing is, I was saying to people, you may want to get a stack of face cloths, and just instead of using toilet paper to dry yourself, use a face cloth, because that you can throw in the wash and use again. Think about that. The same as I think you all know, I use face cloths in the kitchen, so I don't use paper towels as much. I do use them occasionally, but and as Jodi will tell you, I actually rinse out and reuse my paper towels. At the end of the day, I have them sitting in my wash basin. As I use a paper towel, I throw it into my sink, and at the end of the day, I rinse it all out and hang it, let it dry overnight, and then I keep it in a old coffee tin and I just use it. It works like a dream, as Jodi will tell you. I probably will only use like I don't know, about a quarter of what I used to use. This one, I thought you could probably imagine me saying this. It says, "Are you free tomorrow?" No, I'm still expensive. I'm scared to ask you, Devon. Some of you will really relate to this one. I can't believe I forgot to go to the gym today. It's like 7 years in a row. Yeah, Becca, don't ask, really. I don't think we want to ask what that was about. We might be sorry that we did. Now, this actually, again, made a lot of sense to me, and for some of you it will as well. How many of you relate to, I stopped understanding math when the alphabet decided to get involved? I love that one, Jodi, because, I think a lot of us can relate to that. What do you mean? X equals what? Question mark. Well, yeah, but you're a mathematician. What can I say? Becca's going, that's when it starts getting interesting. Ah. Okay, Devon, we're glad that it wasn't the table. Some of us had minds going all over the place on that one. Irma Bombeck said, "My idea of housework is to sweep the room with a glance." And did any of you learn the trick, which is, if you haven't actually done a whole lot of cleaning this week, well, this is if you are allowed to have people visit you again, and somebody comes to visit, the thing to do is quickly spray a little bit of pledge or something in the room and leave the vacuum out. Just grab it out of the cupboard and put it somewhere. And you go, oh, I'm so sorry. I was just starting to clean. So, any dust or whatever is, accounted for. This one is cute. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. But if the doctor is cute, forget the fruit. And this is a really nice one for pandemic times. It says, I'm not sure what is more scary these days, checking my temperature or checking my weight. By the way, how many of you are taking your temperature on a regular basis? It's an important thing to know what your baseline temperature is. My baseline temperature is lower than the norm. Of course, when was I ever normal? So to me, if I even get up to normal, I think, gosh, I'm running a bit of temperature. Mm. And I was actually quite surprised when Chris Como said that when he got the virus, and he was saying the same thing, that he had to be doubly careful because once he got to normal, he knew he was running a temperature. And then it went, way higher. But, for him, being the temperature he was at was higher than most people. Okay, so Bernice is saying that she hasn't found a good thermometer. I missed the mercurial thermometer. It was more accurate. So what have you got instead? Hang on a second. That's an interesting thing. I had to go and find mine. Okay. So the only thermometer I could get was a kid's one. So let's see how I do. You've got to turn it on first. There we go. 36.7. What's normal? Oh, so sorry. So sorry. That would be in Canadian because it's not in American. Jodi, could you find out what 36.7 is in Fahrenheit for the people who don't speak metric? Okay, so normal is 37.5, you see, and mine, the temperature inside at the moment is about 82 degrees in my house at the moment. So it's pretty darn hot, right? And so even so, my temperature is below normal. You get it taken twice a week by your visiting nurse. Really? That's good. Okay, so it's 98.06, right? So 98.7 is the normal in American? I can't remember. It's been so long that we converted and the Americans didn't. Yeah, you can. I think you can try. It's Google, right? 98.6 is normal, and what was mine? 97 point something, right? So that's why I have to be aware that mine is. All right, so you just click the three little dots on the side, and it will maybe. Yeah. Jodi's very clever on those sort of things. But seriously, when you think that the temperature in my house is that high, at the moment. And, you know, it's amazing I'm not pouring sweat. Okay, so let me carry on. I love this one. I've heard it before, but I love it enough to repeat it. It says, today a man knocked on my door and asked for a small donation towards the local swimming pool. I gave him a glass of water. Yeah, on a laptop, it's actually a left click. On a laptop, Jodi, let me just tell everybody, if you're on a laptop, you take your mouse and left click it. If you look at what's been written, you left click it on the 3 dots on the right hand side, and then it'll give you options. I'm not sure which options are for ordinary people because mine are admin ones, obviously. Yeah, remove it. Yeah, exactly. So that's how you retract a statement. You remove it. Okay. Patience is something you admire in the driver behind you, but not the one in front. I think that's clever, and it's so true, isn't it? And some of you, if you're not already understanding this one, you will do very soon, all right? The only exercise I've done this month is running out of money. And it's going to get worse. Yeah, so Sharon, you see, it's good to know. You're saying your temperature is also 97.6 most of the time. It's good to know because if you know, I make sure if I go to hospital, I make sure that they know that my normal temperature is lower than the norm. Glad you liked it, Devon. Now, some of you can relate to this one. I have everything you could possibly ever need in my purse, except for money. How many of you were there when I was on December and Jodi asked me, you know, to empty out my purse? And I had spare battery packs in there. I had spare leads for the different people. You know, I had, you know, all different connectors for people that were doing the broadcast. I had so many things in there that even I started to laugh because I'm one of those people when I'm doing December, I take things I think other people will forget. And I actually have, you know, um, those roll up jewelry containers where you flat and you put all your jewelry in and then you roll it up. I take one of those and it's got extra a mouse in it. It's got an extra this and an extra that. Yeah, Becca, if you remember that, you will also remember I had to keep a couple of things away from the camera. I can't remember what I had in there, but definitely they were not something I wanted on camera. It was just like, yeah, right. Yeah, my when I travel, I have a more like a briefcase type bag that I take with me because you know I do carry so many things with me. And you know something? Nothing gives me greater pleasure than somebody to go, "Oh, I forgot my," and I go, "Not a problem, I got one." Oh yeah, Jodi, that's a good point. Yeah, I carry two different wallets. Which surprises a lot of people, but it's so much easier. You know, I have my Canadian wallet and I and I have my passport in there. And then when I cross the border, it's really funny the things I do. As I cross the border, when days when we still could, when the guy gives me back my passport, I never put it back into my purse. I put it into my bra, and it stays there until I come back. I always know where my passport is. I want my passport on me if I'm out of my own country. Why? If I end up getting hit by a car or something, that is the one thing I need with me. Right? Does that make sense to anybody? And so, to me, that's where I keep it. And I literally wear that the whole time. I carry it with me. But what I do is I then change wallets. I have my black one for Canada, and I have a pink one, I think, for the States. And that means I don't have to worry when I get home. I don't have to change over all the coins and things. They all stay in there until the next time I travel. You'd feel like it would get all gross and sweaty in there. Well, I got news for you. I've been traveling for 72 years and it's done pretty well. I don't think I get that gross and sweaty, but interesting comment. Yeah. Yeah, it's, for some of us who've traveled, I agree with you, Sakura, we feel naked without our passports. If you travel a lot, it's a vital thing. And it's not a maybe for me. I will literally, leave my deodorant but have my passport with me. And that's pretty sick, if you know what I mean. I thought this was rather cute. Ironically, jogging pants are mostly worn by the laziest people. I love it. Well, Becca's saying that I feel that I have a gene of excess sweat in my body. Mass doesn't help either. Well, I got a pretty good body mass as well. But if I were concerned about that, Becca, I would probably make a cotton sleeve to put it in. I would just stitch up a cotton sleeve that would absorb any extra moisture. And quite honestly, your passport has a waterproof cover to it anyway. And the pages inside are capable of being, dropped in the water as well, if you think about it, right? So I don't know how many times you've used your passport, but really they're pretty tough things. You're way too paranoid. Now I'm paranoid about losing it. I'm literally paranoid about losing it. So yeah, it's, I've just learned that, and Yes is saying the same thing. Mama Saw, that's a splendid idea, keeping your ID on your person instead of in your purse. I can lose my driver's license. By the way, how many of you have a full copy of your passport somewhere, page by page? Mm. Page by page of the things that have got stamps on them or whatever. I actually, make sure whenever I get my passport renewed, I take photocopies, and then not only that, but I take it to a notary and have it notarized that these are legal copies of my passport. It's not enough just to have photocopies. You need a notary to see the original and see the copy, and then each one of mine has a stamp on it, notarized as an official copy. A notarized copy. Do you understand what I'm saying? The same thing before I became a Canadian. Um, my landed immigrant papers, same thing. Hi, Lolo, good to see you. And make sure that you have it copied and notarized if you can. Wow, Jodi's saying I don't have a passport. The last time I traveled to Canada, we didn't need one. Wow. Well, it's just, I guess, Becca, you must remember I've spent my life traveling. And so I've learned these little tricks, probably, more than most people. By the way, I never turn the lights off in a hotel room when I'm in a hotel room. Never turn the lights off. I will leave one light on. That's years of traveling, being on the road as a professional speaker and everything else. I cannot tell you how scary it can be where you wake up and you go, I have no idea where I am. And so I learned to actually go to sleep with a light on. I still do in my own house. I go to sleep with a light on. Not that I'm scared of the dark. It's just what I learned to do. So just little tricks of the trade. But I sleep beautifully with the lights on, it's like, I can remember one day I did a speech here in Vancouver, and then I had to go over to Vancouver Island by helicopter to do another speech that evening. And I got in the helicopter and I just went fast asleep. Boom, gone. Yeah. And when we got to the other side, the businessman next to me said, I've seen a lot of things, but I have never seen somebody who can just fall asleep like that on a helicopter. And I said, it might be the only sleep I get in the next 24 hours. Believe you me, it was important. And he said a very good point, a very good point. I can actually sleep, this will make some of you laugh. I can actually sleep between boarding a plane and takeoff. Although the flight attendants get a bit upset with me, but I can do it. I literally can get onto a plane, find my seat, sit down, and sleep until they take off. Because, I learned that every little bit of sleep I could get, I might need. You understand, sometimes I was over in the next state or province, as we call it, to, do a breakfast thing. And that would be 7 o'clock on their time, which is a different time zone from where I am. And then I would fly back into Vancouver and do another breakfast thing, a late breakfast in Vancouver, and then maybe fly somewhere else to do a lunchtime thing. And one day I did that. And I think that day that I'm talking about, I ended up doing a dinner, keynote speaker at a dinner. And literally, I had not slept in 24 hours. I literally had been on the go that long. I didn't see my hotel room again until I think 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was on a 7 o'clock ferry, and it was just like, yeah, right, that's pretty busy. And it was a time that I actually had somebody job sharing with me. Somebody wanted to learn what it was like to be a professional speaker. And I knew that was going to be a particularly difficult day. And I said, why don't you travel with me on this day? Because on this day, I'm doing a number of speeches and you'll get an idea of how much stress there is in being a professional speaker. And I want to tell you, the next day, she phoned me and said, thank you for job sharing with me. I know I could never do that. I could never take that much stress in a day. And I said, no, that's what people don't realize. They think speakers get paid big money because their ego or whatever. No, it's considered to be one of the most stressful jobs in the world, I understand. It ranks up there with driving single-seater racing cars, which, I've done. It's high stress. So it's important. All right, this one is cute. When the teacher said, don't forget to bring your clothes for Jim, I thought, who is Jim? And why doesn't he bring his own clothes? Yeah, we call it job shadow. It's, yeah, I think we call it job shadowing as well. I don't know what I said, but if you're correcting me, which I think you are, Becca, you are correct. Yeah. Never, under any circumstances, take a sleeping pill and a laxative on the same night. That could be nasty. Don't ever let anyone tell you fairy tales are not real. I drink a potion made from magic beans every day, and it brings me back to life. Yeah, Devin can sleep on a New York subway. Yeah, I think, if you have ever had that level of uh, tiredness, I can remember, I think the worst day as a speaker that I can remember was that I woke up one morning in a different town, in a hotel room, and I was actually on the floor in a cold sweat, and I obviously had very serious flu. And in fact, it was so bad, I think it was probably close to pneumonia. But I was literally curled up on the floor and drenched in sweat. And I want to tell you, if you ever want to know what the difference is between feeling sorry for yourself and just getting the job done, I remember with my bleary eyes looking at my watch and going, oh, short word, I have got just 3/4 of an hour before I'm on a live broadcast in a television studio. And also remember that these people have had me booked for over a year, and this is their day, their conference, and they want their keynote speaker there. Do you understand? That isn't a maybe. Your next question is, what do I need to take to keep me going for the next 4 hours? That's what the question is. What do I need so that, I know I need 6 layers of powder on my face so the perspiration doesn't show too much. I know I need clothes that are not going to show sweat, because obviously if I'm running this temperature, I am going to sweat. I seem to remember that I put on a black jacket because that particular black jacket, was loose and it would air in a way, and all those sort of things that you think about in an instant because you have to. So, stress management is the name of the game when you're in that job. No, I don't really rise and shine. Most days I just caffeinate and then hope for the best. Yeah, I totally relate to that. I really am very envious of people who get up well in the morning. If I could just get my ankles and feet to work in the morning, I'm happy. If I can actually make it from my bed to my washroom. For some reason, my Achilles tendons are shortening in a dramatic way. And getting out of bed and getting into the washroom, very, very uncomfortable. Lauren, here. Lauren, I hope it's okay, but I did mention, thanks, Jodi. I did mention to the lunchtime group that, the scare that you had this week, because, it really was. Oh, thank you, Becca. That's very kind of you to contribute towards the cost. Because it must have been so scary to know you had the flu and not know whether you had the virus. And I thought people need to hear that not all flu is the virus. Yeah, I was pretty sure that you would be okay because you were, I knew that you'd got the confirmation. I wouldn't have mentioned it because you never asked for thoughts and prayers or anything. But, it must have been, I keep thinking how scary that must have been for you. But priceless to know that it was just flu, not the flu. Yeah. By the way, Lauren, on days when I struggle getting out of bed and getting to the washroom, I think about you. For those of you who don't know, Lauren is in a wheelchair, and for her, getting up and going to the washroom is never easy. You know, it's never easy. You know, she can't just pop out of bed and walk to the washroom. She has to get out of bed, into her wheelchair, then get into the bathroom, then out of the wheelchair. You know, that really. I use Lauren as my every morning when I'm sort of hobbling my way to the bathroom because my Achilles tendons are not working properly. I think, yeah, this is easy compared to Lauren's job. So, you know, to me, that's I love it when you guys, or I think about Erin, you know, and it's just like, be grateful. I'm very grateful that the only thing that's wrong with me is that my Achilles tendons are a bit short. And I have not been doing enough stair climbing. That's what causes that. I'm just going to find the countdown. And Jodi, could you make a note that it'd be a good idea if I started loading the dates for, you know, Easter and Lent again, because we're sort of almost into the countdown for those. All right, so here we go. Valentine's Day is 8 months and 20 days away. So for those of you who are romantic, and most of you are, you'll want to know that. For those of you, Christmas is 209 days away, and you're still not going to be on time. That's okay. You have 6 months and 5 days to get your Christmas cards into the mail. And don't say I didn't warn you. I've been warning you since January the 1st. For those of you who are in the States or associate with Thanksgiving in the States, you have 6 months exactly to get that dinner ready. And for those of us in Canada, we have only 4 months and 15 days because we have ours in October. For those of you in the States, you've got 1 month and 16 days to get your taxes in. We in Canada, unfortunately, only have 2 days, and you know who's not going to have hers in time. Yeah. And I do have a good reason for it, by the way. Summer. For those of us who live north of the equator, we have 21 days until summer. Lauren, you've got 21 days until winter. Again. Wow, is that amazing, Lauren? It seems like just yesterday you were starting with spring. That seems to have gone really quickly to me. Do you feel the same way, that this summer has gone quickly? Yeah. Anybody else south of the equator? I know Nyasha is. So, yeah, it seems to have sped past us somehow. And for those of you who are interested in Mercury being in retrograde, it goes back in, I think, June the 18th. So, but I'll talk more to that when we get there. For those of you who've been following my journey, moving from one house to another, I moved here a full season ago. And, you know, for those of you who want to hear some of the mistakes I made this week, you know, every season I do certain tasks, and one of them is to clean my Keurig. You know, every season I wash my duvet. You know, I've got the sort of, these are things I do once a season. I just don't do them every month or every other month. Yeah, I do them once a season. But, you know, I had a couple of disasters this week. But, you know, it's what makes my life fun. That's the way I look at it. So I moved here 4 months ago in 19 days. Isn't that amazing? So that's nearly up to 5 months. Wow. And I owned it a month later, which is actually 3 months and 18 days ago. So the reason is I came in, I rented it for a month so I could get the Wi-Fi set up and all those sort of things. And then all the papers got signed a month later. I'm really glad that I did that. I think it was one of the smartest things I did. Certainly reduced a lot of stress. And somebody was asking me, I think Marnie was asking me when I had a video call with her this week, she said, do I still miss the old place? And I said, no, funny enough, I'm sort of here now. You know, my mind is here now. And the other thing she asked, are you happy there? I said, I really don't know how to answer that because I have not really had normal time here. All right. Most of the time that I've been here, I've been in lockdown. So I think it's a really important part of life to realize that, you know, I've spent from March the 10th onwards, right, being in lockdown. I've only I've gone out in the car a couple of times to charge up the battery, but I've only left the car on one day in all that time. And I'm considering doing a trip this week. There are a couple of things that I really would like to get done. And I could ask other people to do them for me, but I'm going, you know, maybe I need to start practicing just going out and living a halfway normal life if I can, even though the risk is great. I just got to be careful. All right. So, some of you are probably going, don't take the risk, but you know, to me, it's like I have been very careful, and I will continue to do so. Of course, we all notice that all these riots that are going on, people are not socially distancing during those riots, and actually quite a few were wearing masks. But you know, anywhere where these riots have been, you know, expect the deaths to go up because it makes an awful lot of sense when you're in that sort of close proximity. And this is cute. It says, I don't like to think before I speak. I like to just be as surprised as everybody else when I open my mouth. Okay, good night, Becca. Good to see you back again. Don't be a stranger. My boss told me today to have a good day, so I went home. And before we sign off, just as a matter of interest, does anybody have any birthdays or important updates that they'd like to share, or anything that you'd like me to put up on the Facebook page? If so, this would be a really good time to tell us so we can take a note. Yeah, you know, as I've been saying in the broadcasts, though, Nyasha, as sad as it is, also be aware that all the changes that have happened to major policy has happened after the riots. As I was saying today, you know, there were the Kent riots, Kent University riots way back when the Vietnam War was on, and it was because of those riots that they changed the policy. You have, you know, so many cases where the Rodney King riots, you know, you have so many different times when people rioted, and it really does get people's attention. Yes, we lose, you know, some property and we lose some lives in some cases, but it tells the politicians, hang on a second, this is something we need to take note of, because the emotions are so raw on this issue. And, you know, so many things happened pre the Vietnam War time, but it wasn't until the Kent University riot and them killing some people to stop it that things changed. And so to me, the times they are changing. I am hoping, you heard me say earlier that my heart goes out to both sides. You know, I go out to George Floyd, um, you know, to his family, and obviously so sad that he died, but he may end up being the martyr that made the difference at last. We will see. But definitely, this should not be allowed. Yeah, I was saying that it was a bit like the taser way back when they first started to use the taser and they killing people with it. This is like, no, they need to find another way. This is not the way. Yes, Lauren, do you want me to tell that story? Let me know if you want me to tell it before we go. Or, yeah, George Floyd, that's what I thought it was. Thanks, Jodi. So I don't know, hang on, let me get the okay from Lauren before. Okay, so I don't know if you guys all know, but Lauren is a huge fan of the Irish tenors. And the one whose name just escapes me, help me here, Lauren. I can see him, but I can't think of his name. Oh, gosh. I can see him. Why can't I think of his name? It's K, with a C at his last name. Anyway, she'll give me the name. But anyway, she's been a huge fan of his, drop down. The Celtic Thunder, that's right. Sorry. Yes, Celtic Thunder, or Celtic Thunder, actually, not the Irish tenors. Thank you for correcting me. And Emmett Cahill, Emmett Cahill, that's it. Okay, so she's a huge, huge fan. She even went on a cruise where he was on the cruise, and she's had a wonderful time. But here's the interesting thing. She is going to be on a Zoom call with him at 6:15 in the morning. How many people are going to be on that call? Do you know, Lauren? And by the way, if ever you want to just cry, listen to that guy singing Christmas carols or any of the Irish standards, just his voice is just so beautiful. Anyway, but she is on a Zoom call with him. So you can imagine that's like, wow. And we are so excited. And, Lauren's not an early riser, but for that, she's going to be awake, I'm sure. So have fun with that. How many hours to go? Because remember, she's in Australia, so she's way ahead of us. Only 20 fans and him. Wow, isn't that amazing? That is going to be such an awesome call. So I would think and how long is the call for? Do you know? Yeah, and Lauren, Jodi's also saying about the Christmas Carol. Lauren gifted both Jodi and I to an online Christmas Carol evening with him. And it was just amazing. All right, so Lauren, it's only half an hour. Do you have at least 2 questions ready to ask him? Or is he just going to sing to you? Knowing him, he's probably going to give you a question time as well. But understand, if everybody has 1 minute to ask questions, that's 20 minutes right there. So make sure you've got a question that nobody else is going to ask. Or have 2 or 3 in case other people ask the question that you want, would be my recommendation. There's nothing worse than being asked the same question time and time again. You don't have any questions? You just want to swoon. Yeah, I actually, I would have a couple of questions ready and have the guts to ask them, because most people will probably, be too overwhelmed. But I'm certain that he would appreciate getting a bit of help. Otherwise, he has to do all the work. Yeah. So think about that. All right, everybody. So have a super Saturday, all of you. We'll see some of you on Sunday. We will be, oh, look, the sun's gone down. At last, you can see my window. We will be back at 3:30 Pacific time on Sunday. For all of you that have joined in, thank you for joining us. If any of you are interested in how to make your own washing powder or whatever, we did a really interesting broadcast at lunchtime today, just so you know. we did all sorts of skill stuff and that. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, please look after one another. Please remember to be prepared but not scared about what's going on, both with the pandemic and with the riots. They will both, in their own way, bring more sadness. And at the end of it, we will all have changed. And so when you realize that and are prepared for that, it'll be a lot easier to deal with. Try not to think about, but I want it to go back to how it was. It is never going back to how it was. And once you realize that, that's a good thing. Once you realize you're so lucky to be alive, once you realize that you are so lucky to have a roof over your head and heat or air conditioning or whatever it is, and Joe and Lola, and you're so lucky to have grandchildren that make you cry with love. I look at it and I say that we each need to continue to be very grateful for the lives we have. See you on Sunday. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, big hugs. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. Know I love you. And we'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye for now. If I can remember to hit the right buttons, because it's a challenge. Yeah, maybe.